That's going down with a bunch of crazed dogs.
My camera. How about them Giants? How about them Giants? How about them Giants?
Woo! What's happening, people? Welcome to another episode of Giants Rush. Right? You get it by now. It's where we talk Giants football every single week. And pretty much every week of the year, we are here. We're the podcast you love to hate. We're going to talk about a ton of stuff today from, we'll hit some Tisch and the Epstein files if you guys want to talk about that. We'll definitely talk about Burns at the Pro Bowl. We'll talk about the new coaching staff that's coming into place. We'll talk about Dart and what he thinks about hiring a new OC. I got Chris here. I got Sean here. I think I'm going to have Cruz coming in to do a little producing in the back end. He's stuck in traffic. We'll talk about the Howard Eskin interview with John Harbaugh. I worked with Howard Eskin for pretty close to 12, 13 years. So crazy that he got that interview, but I think he's actually been friends with John for a while. Philadelphia being so close to Baltimore. What can we say? A lot of things in Giants world. What are we doing? We're hiring new coaches. We're starting to, kind of put the plan in place. A lot of talk about, Harbaugh basically saying, if you don't have the effort I want, you probably don't want to play here, right? He wants hard-hitting effort guys. He's bringing in guys he trusts and he knows. You'll see hey, we got a lot of dudes coming in, from the Ravens because it's a proven commodity, right? We got Tisch tied up in the Epstein files. Who knows what's going on with that? If the NFL will get involved. Some people are like, he's got to sell the team. And we'll get into it. If there's underage kids involved, that's going to be something that is going to need to be addressed. So without further ado, I will always admit one thing.
It's good to be the king.
Boom. Welcome to Giants Rush. We're here every Monday at 7:30. We're on here for anywhere from an hour and a half talking Giants football. I see you guys are piling in the room. What's happening, people? I see you, Cold. What's up? What's up, Daniel? What's up? Glad you guys are here. Tell your people. Do me a favor. nygiantsrush.com is the website. We got two new writers that are coming into the Rush family. Of course, we got young Spencer Kessler. He's cranking out some stuff, and we're bringing in a really good friend of the show, Weston. You guys know him as L. Weston or Giants Fan 1187. He's going to start doing some content for us on the website, so make sure you put that in your daily read. What's up, Alex? So make sure you put NY Giants Rush in there. I am sometimes a little lazy. We'll admit, I do not keep up on the content there. I should do a better job at that, but I'm only one dude. NY Giants Rush is our YouTube channel. Do me a favor. Subscribe. Pass it to your friends. Tell us. We're also going to be giving away a cap tonight from the No Cap Company, which you guys are familiar with. They do the really nice hats with the numbers on them that I showed you a couple weeks ago. It's going to be random. I'm going to do one this week. I'm going to do one next week. So make sure you check them out on Instagram. They have some really cool products. I've got a couple hats to give away. So randomly, I said today on Twitter, in case you haven't saw it, I said, hey, just hashtag NY Giants Rush. You'll be in the running. And then at the end of the show, what I'm going to do is I am just going to use a random number applicator on my phone, which I have right here. I'm just going to basically hit it. It's going to come up with a number, and I'm going to let Sean go through all the retweets and all the hashtags, and we'll just pick a random number. So without further ado, why don't I bring in the rest of the peeps?
Yeah.
You can call me.
I was starting to enjoy the tune, and then like it cut off. I was like, whoa, what's happening? I was just jamming to some zombie.
Our man Cruz hooked me up with a new intro, some new songs. I like it. Much better, much better.
Yeah. So we're gonna bring Chris in here in a second. We got some stuff to talk about, right? Like it is the off season, so sometimes you're looking for stuff. But when Harbaugh was announced for 2 weeks ago, it's been nonstop, improvements, right? Every day we're getting a little bit better.
Yes.
I know you're going to want to get into the coaching decisions because I know you love coaches is like your wheelhouse without a doubt. So we'll definitely get into that here, but don't have any access. I wonder why that is, Mr. Cruz, why you don't have access to the stuff. I'll have to find that out in a second. Let's bring in Chris. Now I'm gonna have to get a new intro for Chris. This is only 6 seconds long, but I love it because it's a beer bag.
So goes Steve Austin. He is the man. Well, the cast of Tough Enough is over here giving themselves a beer bag.
And that's because Chris has 21-inch biceps.
Yeah, I wish. Yeah, still a good intro, though. Still a good intro. What's up, fellas?
What's up, Chris?
Lots to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, when you start the week off with Epstein files, which we won't start off with today, but I'm just saying that there's always something in Giants land. Chris, going to start off at the top.
Mm-hmm.
The best news that we've been getting is the and there's nothing wrong, by the way, with slow development.
So cold.
Slow development of the coaching staff.
Mm-hmm.
The latest piece to fall. No. The latest piece. Hi, Chris Piece. What's up? No pun intended there. We're getting the quote piece. We're getting after it. We're bringing in real quality coaches, Chris. They bring in a offensive line coach who, by the way, undervalued because he also coached tight ends, which doesn't really get talked about enough. They bring in Grant Newsome, who was under Jim Harbaugh at Michigan. His brother poaches him. I didn't look into what his scenario was, if he was potentially going back to Michigan or not. What's your thought about Grant Newsome? Have you done any homework on him?
Yeah, so by all accounts, he's been the offensive line coach in Michigan for the last 2 years. But from what I understand, he's going to be the assistant offensive line coach. He's not going to be the head offensive line coach. That's still in the works. Obviously, they're still going through some names. I mean, the interview process, that's a hole that still needs to be filled. But trust John Harbaugh, right? And obviously the intel from Jim. So, and he's a young kid. I think he's like 24, played at Michigan. So depending on who that offensive line coach is, I'm sure he's going to learn.
Is he that young?
I thought
he's 28.
28, is he? Okay. So I think he's been with Michigan then since 24 as a coach, right? He's last 2 years as
he was a GA.
Coach,
he started as a GA with them.
Okay. Right. So, just another spot that needs to be filled. But it is going to be interesting to see who the offensive line coach will be and the offensive coordinator, because they got to mesh together. That's got to be something that depending on the scheme and how they want to work things. So that's the next two dominoes. Hopefully will fall, in the next week or so.
No OC yet piece. We're going to bring that up in a second. Sean, so I would have to say that you hire a guy that worked for your brother. You've got some good intel on how he is with players, whether it's just from assisting with the scheme or getting guys ready to practice or whatever it is. Seems like a good, if he's going to be the assistant O-line coach, or again, we don't know yet, or assistant tight end coach or both, it seems though he's got the stamp of approval from Jim Harbaugh.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, again, he played under Jim, coached under Jim. He coached when he was doing the tight ends. He had Colson Loveland. He coached him, who was a first-round draft pick. He coached Luke Schoonover, who was a third-round draft pick, who's done pretty well. And Michigan's O-line, I believe, was number one. It was either in the Big Ten or overall. Like they had a really good unit last year. So he's a young rising coach, which is what you need. You need some guys that are young coming into the staff. But I don't know, you may talk about other coaches, but I want to bring up this name because one guy I'm really excited about because he was hired as the assistant quarterback coach before. He's Matthew Stafford's brother-in-law is Chad Hall.
Why you got to jump ahead?
Because I'm excited about it, so I want to get to it. I want to talk about Chad Hall because I think this is a undervalued hire. He was in Jacksonville, coached some really good receivers in Jacksonville. He's done some really good stuff around the league. He is highly regarded. And you guys know, you both know that I've been complaining about our wide receivers have not been getting better. They haven't done what they need to do. Chad Hall is going to make this wide receiver group that much better. So I'm very excited about this hire.
Interesting take because I know anybody that's, Matthew Stafford's brother. He's been brought up in a football environment, right? Mm-hmm. They've been, they bleed and sleep, eat, football, right? You don't get to be in the pros if you don't grow up with football around you nonstop.
Right.
He was the assistant quarterback coach to Shane Tierney from last year. I remember when they hired him and it was an exciting opportunity for him to come in here and get his feet wet. He has coached receivers in other places. I don't know what to make of it. I don't know what to make of it. Again, I believe in what Harbaugh wants to do. So to go out and to get him and bring, I shouldn't say go out and get him, to retain him and promote him says a lot about what he has to bring to the table. Chris, any thoughts on I don't know, he was the assistant quarterback coach, right? Why was he in the quarterback position if he's a wide receiver coach?
Listen, there was a relationship, I guess, with Mike Groh as the wide receiver coach. And, it says a lot for John to keep three of the previous coaches, right? When you talk Tim Kelly with the tight ends, offensive coordinator experience, and then you have Bowen coming back as a linebackers coach, and you keep Chad Hall. So it's a lot to be said after, all the coaches Dable had in the staff. 3 coaches remain on the Harbaugh staff, which, hey, you trust Harbaugh that he's done his homework. He knows Hall from the league, and trust the process that he knows what he's doing.
Chris,
and he was a wide receiver, so he knows the position.
Yes, without a doubt. So I guess maybe you bring in talent where talent is, right? Even though he's not a quote unquote quarterback, coach, he can surely help the process. And again, if he had anything to do with helping Dart get better, or helping, Jameis get acclimated with the system, I like it. In fact, which is a good parlay. We talked about Priscillo nonstop last week. My only quick question, Chris, is even though Priscillo is following Dabe's to Tennessee, was he not under contract with the Giants, Priscillo?
He had 1 year left.
So how does that work? If you're under contract, you're under contract. How do they release him from that contract?
I guess behind the scenes, he had to get permission, and they granted it to him. That's my guess.
So the Giants don't owe him anything.
We haven't heard if he was let go of his contract because Harbaugh wanted not to have him, but you find it hard to believe because I watched the show last week, and even Lori alluded to it, that the speculation is that John's father, Jack, loved what he saw with the offensive line. John referenced on his when he was introduced how much he's heard about Priscillo and how everybody loves him. So it almost makes you think that the plan was maybe in the works behind the scenes to follow Dable, and he was granted his release to follow Dable. That's just my guess. That's just speculation, but that's kind of where I'm connecting the dots,
Yeah. No, because I'm just well, if the cat's under contract, how did he? I guess he really didn't want to be here, I guess, and was like, "Hey, what's the chances I get released from my contract?" I mean, because I'm wondering, could they have forced him to stay? You have a contract, you got a contract.
I mean, they could have, but you don't really want to do that because then that's not a good, that's not a good working relationship if you force somebody to stay here. So I'm all right with it. If he wanted to leave, if he wanted to go, I get it. It makes sense. You're used to that system. It's not, for me, it's not that big of a deal. Carm was great. He did a lot of things. You guys know I love Carm, but he didn't want to be here. He wanted to go and follow in the system and do that, and that's fine. We'll get somebody else that's good. So,
and I guess that pertains to coaches too. We saw Harbaugh during the press conference. He wants guys that want to be here. So maybe that pertains to coaches too, right? He wants guys that want to be here. So if he wanted to leave, hey, listen, who knows what their relationship was with Dable? They maybe have gotten very close, and that's his boy. So that's probably what happened.
Fair enough. We just, as long as Illuminor doesn't follow them, right?
Well, that's possible.
Yeah, it is possible. All right, well then let's segue. So Hall is here, Bolin is here. What's his name? The tight end coach is here.
Kelly.
Kelly.
Yep.
They bring back those three guys. Grant Newsome seems to be an assistant O-line coach, right? Because he's a young cat. But again, rubber stamped by Jim Harbaugh. That's good. The question that I see like Cold and Peace and a couple of these guys are talking about is what's up with the OC. So from what I can gather, from what I can read, and what we can find, on the wire and checking out what Shefty's saying and so forth, is the Giants have, interviewed Kingsbury and Brian Callahan, that there is some talk about Jim Bob Cooter from the Colts. There is some talk about Charlie Weiss Jr. Now,
Alex Tanney.
And Alex Tanney, who was a quarterback for the Giants a few years ago.
And I'll throw another name out there, Shane Day, who's the quarterback's coach with the Chargers. Once again, relationship with Jim and John, quarterback coach with the Chargers. So keep an eye on that name.
Yeah. So for anyone out there that's panicking, we don't have an OC. I think he's being methodical about who he interviews, who's going to fit. Two things that we're going to talk about here is, one is Charlie Weiss Jr., and that's going to be a little kind of a rant that I'll run with, but want to start with you guys on the Dart conversation about the OC. So Dart has come out on the record saying, I'd like to be involved with some of these talks if you don't mind, coach, right? Hey, if you're interviewing any of these guys, would it be possible for me to jump on a Zoom too? Or can I come, can I be present at the meetings, to, vibe with some of these OCs? Any thought, Sean, on, hey, that's too far, too much, like know your place, young man? Or is it like hey, it makes better sense if we find someone that has chemistry with the QB? What's your thought there?
No, I think it's good. And I think he should be involved. I mean, it's clear that he showed what he can do. He showed he's a leader. Harbaugh likes Dart. He's come out and said it, the way he is, his attitude, his presence, all of that. So, being involved, again, he's not going to choose the OC and be like, hey, you got to hire this guy. But he wants to be part, which I think is smart, because when you see how they talk, how they get along, that's what it's about. He's our franchise quarterback right now. So you want to know how they communicate with each other. Do they understand the system? Is the system good for Dart? So I think it's a great move. I like it. And Harbaugh's no dummy. So, he'll have him in there. He'll have him talk with him. He'll get his impressions, and then Harbaugh will make the decision.
Chris, Callahan, Kingsbury and Callahan were getting interviews. Did you hear if they were both conducted yesterday and today? Are they both finished?
I did. I heard that was it Saturday, and they were virtual. So it wasn't in person. So we'll have to see. And I think there's probably a few other names that we don't know about. Once again, Shane Day, interesting. He's been in the league a long time. And I'm sure, Jim and John, they talk, they're brothers. And who knows, maybe it's his time to be an offensive coordinator. So I would watch that name.
They're going to bring in they're going to have a list of finalists that they'll bring in for in-person interviews. So they're doing the virtuals now. Yeah. And then when they have their finalists, they're going to bring those in for in-person interviews.
And let's make this note now. You're not really going to find an offensive line coach until you have an offensive coordinator.
Right.
Offensive coordinator is going to want to have some lock and step, with an offensive line coach, right? They go hand in hand, the plays that you run, the schemes that you run. So whoever comes in as the offensive coordinator is most likely to have a major say in who they bring in to be the offensive line coach, right? So don't get too panicky on why we don't have a offensive line coach and an OC. They're going to take their time to find the right guy. Dart seems like he wants to be involved, which is cool, as Sean just alluded to. I don't know if Harbaugh is going to say yes or no to that. What's up, Gino? What's up, K-Mac? What's up, Mark Thompson? See you guys popping in. So again, don't know. But because Dart wants to be involved, they're going to have a short list of guys they bring in for personal interviews. And I'm sure that there's a really good chance that Dart's sitting in there in the offices and they're going through, what they run, what works, what doesn't work, what Dart likes, what Dart doesn't like. Again, franchise quarterback, what's not ruining the kid, right? K-Max wants to know, I got to throw this up there because it's funny. Are we mature enough to go with Jim Bob Cooter if he has a good resume? Are we mature enough? That's a very good question, K-Mac. I'm not really so sure we're overly mature, to
we're mature enough to hire him.
Yeah.
We're not mature enough to not make fun of the name when he is hired. And I already got 2 taglines ready to go for Jim Bob Cooter when he's calling plays. To be serious when talking about his name, I'm just calling him JBC, so I don't even have to say it. I don't even have to say Cooter this, Cooter that. Like, I don't even have to go there. I'm hating Cooter. I love Cooter. All those things I won't have to say, K-Mac, because I'm going with JBC. Okay, great transition, right? Is
Craig and Sean, let me throw your name out there. And I don't know, I'm just connecting some dots. Mike Donald is the coach of the Seahawks, has a relationship with Harbaugh, being back with the Ravens. Keep an eye on Jake Peetz. Jake Peetz is the passing coordinator with the Seahawks. So Kubiak had left. I don't know if he's in the running for offensive coordinator with the Seahawks. Well, the talk is Kubiak will go to the Raiders after the Super Bowl. That's what the thinking is, right? So I don't know. Jake Peetz could be somebody to keep an eye on after the Super Bowl to come in for an interview, who's the passing game coordinator.
I like it.
Seattle.
I like it.
Just a name, just another name to throw in the mix.
Yep. No, I like it. Again, there are guys, again, like I was really shocked to even hear Tanny. I mean, like he was just a 3rd string QB a couple years ago, right? So he's put the work in. Like Davis Webb has put the work in, and Davis Webb got promoted. So Davis Webb, his name has been scratched off the short list since he's getting promoted. And you know what? I don't think that Davis Webb is ready for a head coaching job. I know we had a couple interviews, but he's definitely going to be, good coach in this league, right? And he's going to get an opportunity in the next 2 years to either be, a high caliber offensive coordinator on someone's team / assistant head coach, or he might get a job, as a head coach of a team. We'll see what transpires, but there's been some talk that Harbaugh doesn't have a plan. Harbaugh's got a plan. There is a list of names that they're going through to see if it makes sense. If they don't fit even remotely what Harbaugh wants to run, they won't get called. Kingsbury, I'm not as overly familiar with Callahan as I am Kingsbury. Like, they'll run a very up-tempo offense. So that fits what Dart does well. Now,
well, here's the other thing too, just on that real quick. They're clearly leaks have been plugged. So we don't know what's going on behind the scenes. We don't know. There's people that have been interviewed that nobody had any idea they were going to get interviewed ahead of time until the interview happened. So let's just be very clear on that, which is good, which is what we need. Like, Harbaugh is keeping this close to the vest. He's no dummy. Like, he knows how to. So I love what he's doing. So we just got to wait and see who's hired before we all flip on. But like, oh, he doesn't have a plan. He doesn't know what he's doing. Let's see who he hires first. And my guess would be Brian Callahan and Cliff Kingsbury would be the top 2 favorites because they have previous play calling. And that's typically what he has hired when it comes to OCs. And Callahan, was with Cincinnati for 4 years doing things there with that pretty good offense. So I know people were, well, he was with the Titans and he was fired. Yeah, but okay, when he was an OC, he did a pretty good job with Cincinnati. And so we'll see. It's going to be interesting. I'm excited because this whole staff in general, man, I'm hyped, and it's not false hype. It's not being overly positive. Like, when you look at this staff offensively and defensively, I'm pretty hyped about who they're bringing in as coaches.
You know, it's interesting too. Stefanski gets hired by the Browns last week. It would have been even more interesting if that wasn't the case. And then you would have had Bill Callahan, who was a fantastic offensive line coach, and Brian available to team them up, father and son, like they had done in the past. But once again, that spot's been filled with the Browns.
Yeah, that would have been cool, no doubt. A little chemistry there. I'm going to bring up one that I'd like to bring up because I've heard a couple of people ping me about Charlie Weiss Jr. Now, I don't know the man personally, but having watched a lot of Dart at Ole Miss, what's up, Brad? See you popping in. Here's the thing: the Ole Miss offense was exciting for playing in the SEC, right? They did a lot of good things, but all the things that Dart is now is contributed to the work that Shane Tierney, Dabes, and we can plug what's his name here? Chad.
Oh yeah, Chad Hall.
Chad Hall. Yep. To clean it up. The very first thing, you could go all the way back if you keep receipts. First thing I said to you is he's got terrible footwork in the pocket, Dart. Like lazy. Like if he's handing the ball off, he's standing there, right? Like he's literally not even rolling out. There's no deception, right? Sometimes he throws off his back foot. But I'm very comfortable saying that I'm not a fan of thinking about bringing Charlie Weiss here to bring the Ole Miss offense to the NFL. It's not complex enough. If you took Ole Miss when they were the last 2 years ago, they were at the height of their popularity. They finally beat Georgia with all that extra NIL money. If you take Ole Miss and drop them in the NFL, they go 0-32. That offense cannot compete with NFL defenses. It just can't. I mean, it just can't. And I don't want the Ole Miss offense to come here and give him a coordinator position and expect him to be like, well, he works so well. That's college football. That's in the past. I don't want Charlie Weiss Jr. learning on the job while he's, the Giants offensive coordinator when he's supposed to be developing the QB.
Two counterpoints. Number one, Cliff Kingsbury's college offense worked in the NFL. So
where?
Potentially work.
Yeah, potentially. He sucked in Arizona, and it didn't work.
Here's the other thing: the Giants are not the only team that was supposedly interested in Charlie Weiss Jr. Philly was interested in him as well to be their offensive coordinator, and there was one other team. So it's not just bringing him for Dart, and he's got probably one of the best mentors that he can call on to help him learn, and his dad. So I'm not fully opposed, and I don't know you could put all the footwork on. Well, he didn't have good footwork in Ole Miss, so that's on Charlie Weiss. I mean, I'm not opposed to it. I'm not opposed. His dad was an excellent coach in the NFL, and if there's other teams talking about him as well, and Dart spoke very highly and said, I would like to have him here. So if our quarterback likes him and he's good with it, I'm good with it. But at the end of the day, it's Harbaugh's decision. But I get your point.
I'm not killing him. I'm just saying I want the quarterback to develop. I don't want Charlie Weiss Jr. learning on the job. I want a guy that's a little bit seasoned that can, create the offense we need. I don't want Charlie Weiss learning at the same time as he's trying to develop the quarterback. And you could say he's not in charge of his footwork and his game. Well, who is then? You think Kiffin's job is to tell Dart that he needs to work harder and cleaning up his game? No, it's the offensive coordinator's job. It's a quarterback coach's job.
Well, what do you think Daboll did? Daboll wasn't the offensive coordinator; he was the head coach. So you can't say Daboll is responsible for Dart's footwork improvement and say that Kiffin isn't responsible for him not having good footwork.
I can because I can.
Because you're the king. I get it, but you can't.
No. But I already told you I had someone in the building tell me the issue with Daboll was as soon as that Jones got hurt and he got back into that offensive coordinator mind, he stopped being a head coach, and that was his downfall.
I get it, but
let me ask you guys a question. And I thought about this the past week. An offensive coordinator gets hired. Let's say he's from the college ranks, or he's never been a head coach or never been a coordinator before. He's a receiver, a coach. He's a quarterback coach. The concepts in the scheme that a Harbaugh wants to run, Where does that translate where that coordinator that new coordinator who's never been a coordinator before, that playbook? Does the concepts come from his previous team? Does it come just from what he's collected over the years? Because Harbaugh wants to run a power game. He wants to run a double tight end. He likes, just like his brother, likes the fullback. Where do those concepts come in? Because you don't see a lot of that from these other coordinators, the way Harbaugh likes to run.
You're going to design it. And don't forget, he's going to have RPO. So that is the college game. College runs a lot of RPO. So that's why, again, it's a great question, Chris. But I do think that's why somebody, if it is Charlie Weis Jr., now you'd need to hire somebody on the staff that could be like a mentor for him. So if it's a run game coordinator, let's say somebody who's had experience calling plays can help him with that. But if you're looking at Todd Monken came from college level to coach him.
But does Charlie Weis Jr. come with his own playbook is my question.
So I'm sure he's developed it. Listen, if you're a coach like Charlie Weis Jr., you are putting things together knowing that you have opportunities. Like, yes, you're under Lane Kiffin. He's got this thing, but in spare time or whatever spare time you have, at least this is what I did as a coach. I would put plays together. I would start coming up with a playbook. I would think of things. So I'm sure he's ready to, because eventually he'd be a head coach at the college level potentially.
But you got to think of
as well, having that ready.
Right. And that's a lengthy interview process for Harbaugh, because he's got to go through everything almost with a fine tooth comb to make sure his concepts and scheme match up, like you were saying, Craig, what he wants to do.
And there is the number one word we're missing here is collaboration, right? He's got to be able to come to the table with a collaborative approach. Like, this is what I did and can work here. This is what I did with Dart when he was with me. Does this work on the NFL level? Can we get away with this? And Harbaugh being like, yes, no, I'm indifferent. Let's try it. And they're going to develop a playbook purely around the offensive ability of the quarterback, right? You're not going to put a playbook together asking him to do things that he cannot do, right? Like, there's just some guys that can roll out opposite way, throw across their body and hit like Stafford, right? I mean, he can throw anywhere on the field, sidearm, underhand. Like, that's not Dart's game. So the collaboration has to come with, what can the quarterback do? I'm familiar with the quarterback. This is what we did then. Will this work in the NFL? Like, can I employ this? Can I deploy this at the NFL level? And Harbaugh's got to be like, no, you know what? That won't work. The defenses are too complex. They'll sniff that out and shut that down. That won't work. But we can modify it to this. Like, it's literally a head coach, offensive coordinator, spending hours on developing what works for the quarterback. I don't think it's one or the other, like, John saying, this is what I want figured out, or Weis being like, hey, I already got a playbook ready to go. They're going to have to, especially in this occasion, think about it. New coach, new first-time coordinator, second-year quarterback. There's a lot there. There's not a lot of stability.
And I would think, go ahead, Sean, did you want to?
No, go ahead, Chris. Go
ahead. I was going to say, and Harbaugh, being with Monken the past few years, you got to think that playbook, he's going to dip into those concepts in that scheme that Monken ran, and is going to utilize maybe a big portion of that with that new offensive coordinator. Because you know how bad he wanted Monken. He didn't get Monken, but doesn't mean he can't still instill some of the same concepts and schemes that he would have liked to seen run with Monken here.
Yep. By the way, Mark Thompson's got a great point here. I'll throw this up on the screen. We've totally bypassed the fact that Tim Kelly was calling plays there at the end of the year. Mm-hmm. Tim's also going to be able to bring to the table, like, hey, this is what Dart did, and this is what Dart did well. Just again, like, because John's new to New York and Dart's a young QB. Weis has never called any plays like in the NFL, so I think there's going to be a lot of work that's got to be put in on developing that playbook.
Yeah, and a nice blanket, because Kelly's been in the league a few years as an offensive coordinator.
Two other quick points on this. Number one, if you remember, the Giants ran some LSU playbook plays last season. So you can utilize that playbook to be successful in the NFL. And if it is Charlie Weis Jr., don't be surprised if Greg Roman is hired as run game coordinator to help him out with experience, which Greg Roman, not as an OC, but Greg Roman as a run game coordinator did very well with the Ravens when he was doing just the run game stuff. So I wouldn't hire him as an OC, but if you hire Charlie Weis Jr., don't be surprised if Greg Roman comes in as run game coordinator to help out Charlie Weiss Jr.
You think that, again, just thinking out loud, you think a guy like Roman would want to, again, come to another team for the same lateral job? Like, you don't think he's going to want something more?
I don't think he's going to get something more. Coaches take step back to go forward sometimes. So I don't think anybody. Now, will Harbaugh hire him again because he fired him as an OC? I don't know. But again, if he's not an OC and he's just coming in as a run game quarter, maybe it would. Again, I'm just saying, don't be surprised if that's the move. Or if it's not Greg Roman, you find somebody else who has experience as an OC who you make as the run game coordinator, because Weiss Jr., I'm sure, is going to be better with the passing style of things. And that helps him. You have your mentor right there. You help him on the fly. As Mark said, you got Tim Kelly and Taggart, who's here as a running backs coach. He's got guys he could lean on. Do I think it's going to be Weiss Jr.? No, I don't think it's going to be. I think it's going to be Kingsbury or Callahan. But in that case, I wouldn't be opposed to it because Dart loves him. And if you love your coach, you're going to develop, you're going to do the things you need to do, and we're going to get the best out of Dart.
Yeah. I'm just, again, I can't hate on the guy because, you know, he could turn around and just do it. This is very unique scenario. New head coach, then new first-time offensive coordinator, second-year QB that didn't even start the whole year. Like, there's so many uncertainties. It just would be, to me, my opinion is, lock a guy in that knows how to develop a playbook, develop a quarterback, and call plays. I would feel better about it. And I don't like Kingsbury at all. I just don't think he has succeeded.
But Harbaugh's a new coach to the Giants, but he's not a new coach. So there's a different thing. Right, I know what you're saying. So that eliminates one of the things you got to worry about. But I mean, I get it. I don't like Kingsbury either, but there's a lot of people who do talk highly about him, and he did interview. So it'll be interesting. But I personally, it may be a name that we haven't thought of or heard about yet. That could happen.
Can we get a go Colts for the Indy fans in chat room? Well, listen, we just talked about Jim Bob Cooter for a good
Tanny.
3 minutes and Tanny. Yeah. So yeah, you can get a go Colts. Yeah. 100%.
Go Colts.
We already said that, we're not mature enough to go like a whole season saying the word Cooter's got to go. Cooter's great. I love Cooter.
Fellas, here's a name you don't hear about, and I don't know why. Frank Reich. Frank Reich's been out of the league a few years, was a pretty good OC when he was with the Eagles, but you don't hear his name even resurfacing at all as an offensive coordinator. Any idea why we don't hear his name?
Gotta if I remember, I could be totally wrong here. If I remember, like, where did he get fired from last? Was it
the Colts, I think, right?
I remember I don't know if it was an athletic article I read that because he had been a head coach before, that Reich got a bad reputation for constantly overstepping as an OC.
And couple good. Yep.
I don't remember, Chris, all the details. Something is just buzzing in my head that I kind of remember there was like some articles being written that Reich is too like aggressive. Like it's like his team and he's the offensive coordinator and he's constantly kind of overstepping a little bit. And I think that rubbed some people the wrong way.
Well, Cole just said in solving, career suicide. He's interviewing with the Jets, supposedly.
Yeah. And Mark brought up
might be his
another name
last
for the
job.
OC too. Shieldhouse from the Rams would be another decent name to bring in as an OC potentially. But again, I just have a feeling it's going to be somebody with experience or Weiss Jr.
Yeah. And Callahan did a great job with Joe Burrow. I mean, by all accounts, that was what got him that job at Tennessee.
He did. So, it would not be a bad one. And it's a shame, like you said, Chris, that his dad is with the Falcons now. Because if he wasn't with the Falcons, man, sign me up for Brian and Bill to come here as coaches.
I don't know who the coach was. I think it was a few years ago when Callahan got the head coaching job at Tennessee. His dad was already with another team, and it might have been the Browns.
Yeah,
as the offensive, and they gave him his release to unite with his son. So I don't know if that would ever happen again, but that would be something, right? Because
I would be all for that.
Because he left under contract and they let him go. I wonder if that would ever happen again. Because he was a hell of an offensive line coach.
Reich, Cole and Mark and these guys are saying, like head coach wise, Reich was the head coach of the Panthers and then became the OC at Indianapolis.
Oh, the OC at Colts. Okay, right. Yep.
And let's not forget too, with Callahan being with the Bengals for 4 years, Harbaugh got to see him twice a year for 4 years. So he's going to be very familiar with what he did there. So
Good
that
stuff.
could be the sneaky hire.
You just sold me, Sean. I'm going with Callahan. I think he's the guy. You just sold me. Twice a year for how many years? Yep.
Right.
Yep.
That's what we're here for. See, we bring you the important details here on Rush. The important details.
You just sold him.
Yep.
So we normally do studs and duds. We don't have any studs or duds because there's no game. We do love hate. I completely forgot to do it. So
technically we have 3 studs here tonight. So we have some studs.
Look, I'm going to try this. Give me one thing, Chris. There was an interview this week with John Harbaugh and Howard Eskin. I worked with Howard Eskin for quite some time in Philadelphia. And then his son took over, Spike took over at WFAN. I'm sure you guys are familiar with that. What do you love? Did you hear the interview first and foremost?
I did.
All right. Give me one thing you loved about what you heard. Give me one thing you hate about what you heard.
Well, I didn't hate anything about it, but what I love, he called out the Eagles. We are going to practice to beat them. We're going to play to beat them. We're going to do everything during the day to beat them because they're the NFC East champs. So I love it. He called them out, and that's the plan, to take down the Eagles once and for all.
Yep. Philly's still a team to beat.
Yeah, and they're on the decline, I think, but we never know. But I just get the feeling they're not going to be the same. There's
a lot of turmoil going on over there, as you can.
They've had their own hiring problems right now.
Not even that. You got an AJ Brown problem. You got an offensive coordinator problem. You got the head.
You got an offensive line coach problem. Stoutland, they took away some of his ability to put in his schemes. I don't know if it's the running game, but they kind of took away a little bit of his authority as an offensive line coach. So I don't know if he's happy right now. And he's a hell of an offensive line coach.
How about you, Sean? Anything that you love or hated about the interview that you heard with Coach Harbaugh and Mr. Howard Eskin?
Well, both you had mentioned earlier, Craig. So and Chris just said what he said. So you guys mentioned both things that I really love. So I'm gonna double down. That he talked about the Eagles and competing again, and that's the team to beat, and you build your team to beat them. I also love the fact that he talked about if you don't give effort, then you're not going to be here. Like that's the guys I want. He doubled down on that on the Eskin show. The only thing that I hate was it was with Howard Eskin. I mean, that's really the only thing I really kind of hate about it. Like other than that, we good.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I've known Howard for a long time.
What's odd about that? That relationship that Harbaugh has with Eskin probably stems from years ago when he was with Philly. Right?
It's 1000%. Eskin being on afternoon drive on WIP for 25 years. Like, I mean that whole staff was Gruden, Harbaugh, Spags, Holmgren. Who am I missing?
Jimmy Johnson, defensive coordinator.
Johnson. Dang. I mean, every coach, Andy Reid, everybody came out of that thing. So, and Philadelphia and Baltimore being so close together, they kept friendly throughout the years, no doubt about it. So
can I add something else I don't know if we're going to do more love hate here, but I want to bring this up because we're talking about small details that matter. Because you brought up Harbaugh with the Eagles, that's why he's with Eskin, and it reminded me of the fact that what people forget is Harbaugh was also the DB coach in Philly. So not only do we have Denard Wilson, who has done wonders with secondary, but John Harbaugh is going to be working with our secondary. You can guarantee that. And he talked about that on the Eskin show as well. I think it was Eskin or it was either Gary Myers. It was one of two because they happened around the same time. And he talked about what this back end of the secondary is going to be like in his experience. So I'm excited about that because this is where we lacked was and he said, hey, I've seen some good things with this secondary. We got some young talent there. And he wasn't asked about them specifically. He brought it up. So it's not coach speak. It was like, hey, coach, what do you think about the secondary? He was actually asked about the D line. And he brought up the secondary and said, hey, we got some good guys back there. We got going to play. So I'm excited that we got our head coach is going to be also helping with everybody in the team. But he's got DB experience, and we need help there. So,
and Sean, just to go off of that, D'Alessio, the defensive back coach for the Ravens, is also supposedly hasn't been announced will be the defensive back coach for the Giants as well. So there you get the connection with that whole Ravens thing with Wilson, D'Alessio, and Harbaugh.
Yeah, D'Alessio. Yeah, exactly.
And I read it last week that, Wilson, Denard Wilson, the new DC, was an NFL safety. He's really heavy on how his safeties play. And I'm looking back at my notes here, disguising a zone scheme or a cover 4, they call it a match coverage. And then he inverts. Chris, I don't know if you had a chance to watch last week, but I was saying that the research I did on Wilson was really cool, that he inverts his DBs, where he takes the slot in some packages. He takes the slot off the field and inserts a safety and goes, he goes with 3 safeties, but the third safety, is playing like a press zone coverage and has to be able to take 1/3 the field instead of having a slot corner. So he's heavy on safety play and athletic ability out of safeties, and them to be able to cover a big portion of the field. And if the defensive front is good enough, he lets them go. He'll blitz linebackers from the outside. He'll run that guard, doubles up. Like they said, if he's comfortable with the maturity of the D line, that he lets them do a lot of stuff that they want to do, but he's going to be implementing a very aggressive, accountability driven, defense focused on the safety play, which, by the way, could do one of 2 things. Belton could be coming back to be that third safety, or there's a safety in the mix in the draft or free agency, because, Newman and Holland are here. So if he wants a third, either ball hawk, hard hitter, like it could be Belton being re-signed, or, expect some type of safety early in the draft or in free agency. So,
yeah. And Chris, you brought up D'Alessio's name. So here's what I think. I think Wilson's going to focus a lot on the cornerbacks. And D'Alessio, when he was with Kansas City for 4 years, he had Justin Reed, and I forget the other guy's name, but they all had like career years under him. And then when he left, their play and production dropped. So don't be surprised if D'Alessio is really focusing with our safeties, and we get better safety play now between him and Wilson. But I do think, Wilson, D'Alessio is going to be more with the safeties, because that's where his experiences lie, and he had great success. So there was a concerted effort by Harbaugh to hire guys that can help with that back end. So, and again, keep him bowling for the edge guys. So it's not it wasn't by accident that he hired the guys that he hired. He sees the talent that's there, or potential that's there. He wants the guys to teach him and get that development. So,
yeah, without a doubt. Without a doubt. Okay, quick segue to something a little bit lighter. See a lot of content coming out of the Pro Bowl, and a lot of Brian Burns content, Chris. Thoughts in general, because we don't usually send guys to the Pro Bowl. We usually don't. I mean, he should have been all pro, but we usually don't send guys, and then you don't really see anything. Brian Burns looks like he's out there having fun. He's representing the Giants. He's representing, New York. Seems like he's on top of the world. Was wondering if you happen to catch any of the content, that, he was putting out there.
I did. I just caught a few of the Instagram clips. He looked happy. Looked like he's having a great time, like you said. And I would think he's got a rejuvenated feeling about Harbaugh and the new staff. I would think that's getting him excited as well to be at the Pro Bowl. And I'm sure he's getting a lot of questions about how you feel about the new coach and Harbaugh. So I wouldn't it be something that he comes back even better next year? I mean, how much better can this guy be? But it's going to be really fun to watch next year. And yeah, you just feel like he's a little more rejuvenated.
Sean, segue here is a story that I've told a handful of times. Being in the Philadelphia market, I've got this firsthand that Donovan McNabb goes to the Pro Bowl. He's out there playing with thew, who's with the Cowboys, and he's like, if you come to Philly, we'll win a Super Bowl. And if you remember, his agent had him already inked up with Baltimore. Like they were already signing a contract, and he's like, no, I don't want to go to Baltimore. I want to go to Philadelphia. This guy, Donovan McNabb, just said, we're going to go to the Super Bowl. We're going to win a Super Bowl. And then boom. So you got Brian Burns, who's a captain out there at the Pro Bowl. These guys all talk. It wasn't like we got a coach. We got the coach.
Right.
Is there anyone there at the Pro Bowl you think might be having a conversation with Brian Burns about coming to play with the Giants, because that's how some of these things happen. I mean, firsthand experience with McNabb and T.O. Any chance that Burns is out there chatting up a cornerback or chatting up a middle linebacker or chatting up anybody to come.
So I didn't watch the Pro Bowl to see who all was on it. So there is a chance that he was talking to somebody. I could see him doing that. There's a name that came up, and I don't know if he made the Pro Bowl or not. Maybe somebody can tell me. But if he was there, Devin Lloyd from Jacksonville, there's talk that maybe he doesn't come back there. And if he was at the Pro Bowl, I would not be shocked to see Burns talking to Devin Lloyd about coming to play for the Giants. And if it's not Lloyd, I wouldn't be shocked if he's talking to, if there was other free agents there, talking to them to come play for the Giants. Because again, people are going to want to come play for John Harbaugh. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, hands down. By the way, if you have questions, we are going to do one last drive in a couple minutes. Throw your questions in there. I know there's some in there now, but if you have questions, throw them in there. We'll bring them up. All right. So the last big news that we'll talk about is the elephant in the room, right? We're not going to get this isn't what we do. We're here to talk football, right? But just going to address it so no one could say we didn't address it, right? Epstein files come out. Tish is in there, talking about girls, right? Whether they're professionals or they're whatever the terms he was using. Who knows what comes of this? My thought was, Chris, that, the NFL didn't do much about Kraft and his extracurricular activities. It just has to do with kids. That's different, right? If it has to do with young girls, then yeah, there's going to be an investigation and so forth. But any thoughts on the entire topic? Like, if the guy's in a creepy pervert and he's helping traffic chicks or he's, pimping out young girls, they're going to make him sell the team and they're going to roast him. But I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Just the association, right? Just to being associated and the optics of it. So it's going to be interesting to see how this all goes down in the PR world, right? With the public relations part of it, he's going to be tainted probably for a very long time, if not forever, as a Giants owner. It may get to a point where he's asked to not be the head of the Tisch family to run the team. I don't know. It's just bad optics. You're not going to see Tisch, no matter what happens, without thinking of this situation that's transpired.
Yeah, whole thing's pretty tragic.
Even if nothing moves further, if it's just about, once again, we're talking, it goes deep, right? Even if it goes deep with this whole thing. So,
yeah. The laundry list of names is very long. He's one of them. I'm not sure why who they chose to talk about. I mean, they got Clinton, Obama, Trump. They got Hawkins, right? They've got Bill Gates. They got everybody on this list. For whatever reason, the Tisch stuff seems to be out front. And again, if it has anything to do with young girls or kids, there's nothing they can do but go after them and make them pay. I mean, because it's pretty disgusting to think about it. I can only hope that stuff didn't happen, but it's hard to ignore. There's no doubt about it. Sean, what's your thoughts on this whole Tisch thing? He came out with a statement. It was a little hollow, Yeah,
the philanthropy thing threw me off. That's the one thing that bothered me about what he said. I was having philanthropy, conversation with Epstein about philanthropy. No, you weren't. I don't buy that.
Yeah,
but I'll say this: Tisch is not the only owner that was named. Woody Johnson, the Redskins owner who also owns the 76ers, he was named. I think Kraft came out as well, if I'm not mistaken. Here's my take. It's plain and simple. If it's underage girls, if it's trafficking, he's gone. Mm-hmm. If it's anybody else, that's a different story, and they won't get rid of him. Goodell came out and said something today. They're like, somebody asked even about the second part about the NFL removing him or anything. They're like, well, that second part's, not so fast on that second part. Is basically was his answer. I'm paraphrasing. So again, if it's underage girls, if it's involved with trafficking girls, yep, go on, do whatever you need to do and get the worst, the full extent, whatever. If he's just meeting up with pros, that's a different story. Because again, Kraft went to massage parlors and had his happy endings. He's still an owner of the New England Patriots. So I get the name. I get there could be association, but he wasn't only doing trafficking and underage. He was doing a lot of things because he had Maxwell there to help him with other things as well. So again, you got to get all the details. You got to figure it out. And if he is either of those two things he was involved with, you got to go. He's got to be done.
Yeah. You got to make, force him to sell the team or his portion of the team. I guess he's 49% or maybe.
Yeah, he's 49 or something. Yeah. Under that, whatever it is.
Yeah. Yeah. And Mark Thompson's point is very true, is the fact that Epstein was already convicted of XYZ. Why are you having conversations with a guy who's a convicted felon, or who's already under indictment? Like what?
Yeah.
Why put yourself in that position? I don't know. Maybe it's just those people have so much money, nobody thinks they're going to get caught doing anything. But if it comes down to, kids, young girls, he won't be, he will be, under investigation and be brought, to whatever the extent that he should be punished, because it's kind of gross. You can only hope it's not that. But worth mentioning that, that's why, he's Hollywood and you don't talk to, and he's never around. And Mara's the people always out front, running the team because they're a football family. Right. So you'll always still have the Maras, out front running this team.
Yep.
Whether it's moves to Chris, you know what I mean? Or if it moves to someone else in the family, you always have some Maras involved, so you can rest on that. All right. I'm going to give away these hats, or one hat. So what I'm going to do right now is, I'm going to show you. So see that? I don't know if you guys can see that or not.
Yeah, that way we can. Yep.
All right. So there's a number on my phone right now. It says 19. Every time I hit it, it goes to a new number, right? So, Sean, whatever number this goes to, I want you to go into Twitter. I think there's a good 30-something hashtags.
I already got it pulled up. Everybody who commented underneath your post, so I'm ready to
anyone. And again, there might be some offshoots, so just look for them and just count this number out and choose that person to win.
Got it. Just give me a number.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Oh,
all right. So the second person is Vin Scam, which is at VinScam17 on Twitter. He is the winner of that hat.
Read it again. Vin
Scam, or at VinScam17.
Look at that, number 2. Just so you know, by the way, this is how it works. It's not set up. It randomly gives me a new number every time, right?
Yep.
So, all right. So we gave away. Cole says it's real.
It's real.
All right. So that's one hat that I'm going to give away. I'm going to give another hat away next Monday. So same thing will happen is, I'll just increase the number, right? If next Monday I will send a tweet out that I'm going to give away the second hat. Everybody that hashtags Giants Rush underneath it will be in the running. I'll count out how many we have, and then I'll just hit the old random numbers here, and I just touch it. It goes to a new number every time. All right.
I just tweeted him so he knows he won.
If you know Vin, tell him that he won. If not, we'll tell him that he won. By the way, I did send out the fantasy football jersey to the winner. Waiting to hear some feedback from them, or maybe send some photos up on the jersey. I don't want to give it away until they show it, because it's pretty cool. And then the next year, again, same thing. Hope you guys get involved and play. Maybe next year we have enough people to do two leagues. Let's see. All right, Chris, before we go, anything that you want to see happen this week to kind of wrap the show up? Anything that you're like, I want this, that, or that? Anything specific?
Listen, I would love to have an offensive coordinator, and I'd love to have an offensive line coach. I just think it may not happen as soon as we want. Harbaugh's doing his due diligence, right? He's going to take his time. He's going to go over everything with a fine-tooth comb. So I'd like to see that, but I think it's probably more likely after the Super Bowl to make an announcement.
Sean,
Yeah.
no, all right, I like it. Sean, we have a bunch of free agents out there: Belton, Bellinger, McFadden, Wandale, Illuminor. Am I leaving any of them out?
You said Flott, Wandale,
Flott, yeah.
Illuminor. Yep.
So we've got a bunch of big name guys out there. Do you expect any of them to get signed, in the month of February? Because once March comes, then you're shifting into pre-draft stuff. Do you see any of those guys getting signed in the month of February?
Yeah, I could see. I'm not gonna say which ones, but I could see 1 to 2 getting signed in February.
New deals.
Yes.
Okay.
And just to throw this out there, guys, the salary cap's been increased. It might come out to be somewhere around 20 to 22 million increase for each team. So that probably goes into effect maybe a few days before free agency begins in March. So that could be that time period where some of these guys, right down to the wire, some deals get done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because again, we got pretty much 5 or 6 starting guys that need new deals. So it's definitely going to be interesting. All right. Let's do one last drive and run through these questions. I'll hand them out to you guys. Let's get into where is my one last drive. I'm going to answer all your questions. If they're in here, I will give them to the guys to answer if I can find some questions. Let's see. Did we hire an OC yet? Well, I can do that. No, we have not. Let's see. Going through. Questions. Looking for. Okay. No. Are we mature? We already covered that. Are we mature enough to go with Jim Bob Cooter? No, we are not mature enough to do that.
There's one.
This one's for you, Sean, because you brought this up to me earlier. I'll pop it up on a screen. Cole wants to know who said Harbaugh doesn't have a plan.
A lot of the young Twitter Giants fans. It was all over Twitter today. People going back and forth saying he doesn't have a plan. They're freaking out because Monken. He was all in on Monken, and now we don't know who he's gonna get, and blah 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 blah. That's who it was. So
Cold. Yes, Kiffin did call the plays, but again, it's still offense coordinator implementing that offense and having a lot to say with what they did, right? If I would look at it from the point of view is if Charlie Weiss Jr. didn't have a major role in that offense, Dart wouldn't be asking to bring him, right? Like if he was an afterthought, you wouldn't be like, yeah, bring him to the pros, bring him here, right? So Weiss Jr. definitely, had some input there, but yeah, Kiffin did call the plays. Oh wait, I just passed one up here. This one's for you, Chris, if you know anything about why the Eagles were so high on Weiss Jr.
I don't know. They're going down the list, and he's coming from, listen, does Charlie Weiss play a big role in this too? The lineage from Charlie Weiss, and he's done well with quarterbacks, but I think the Eagles have gone down the list, haven't they? They've tried to fill that spot for a while. They're doing the same thing the Giants. They're doing their due diligence.
Sean, Cole wants to know why the hell Roman would want to work with Harbaugh again.
He may not, but again, coaches want to have jobs. So I know you got fired by both Harbaughs, but sometimes you need a job, and you can, as long as you don't, burn any bridges, anything's possible. I mean, Vance Joseph went back and worked for the Broncos after getting fired by them as a head coach. Coaches want jobs. Anything's possible.
Sean, I think this was your guy, right? What about Shaleehaz? Shaleehaz?
Shieldhouse.
Shaleehaz.
Whatever.
Shieldhouse.
I think that would be a good interview.
I'm not familiar with him, so
It'd be a good interview. He's under McVay over there in Los Angeles. I think we interviewed him for we interviewed for something here, I thought, or requested an interview with him. He may stay in Los Angeles, but he would be a good one. He's another young up and comer.
Chris, Caleb K-Mac wants to know if you think that the Giants would make a move for Caleb Downs at 5. That's that. Like that. Again, do you draft a safety that high? This kid's supposed to be pretty
Harbaugh has a
special.
history. It's like the Ravens way is doesn't matter. The best guy. They want the best talent. And we saw that with the Ravens taking safety. So I wouldn't pass it by.
Was it Hamilton?
Yeah, Kyle Hamilton.
Yep.
So you know what? Harbaugh with his football from his dad and his brother. I just feel like that's his thing. Take the best guy. I don't know.
Sean, do you think there's anyone playing in the Super Bowl that Harbaugh wants to interview?
I can't think of any because with Seattle, I mean, Kubiak's probably going to get the Raiders job. I don't think anybody there. I don't think anybody with the Patriots. So no, I don't think so. But I don't know 100% sure, but I can't think of anybody offhand.
I think he said playing too. Does he mean players too? Players?
I think
he's talking about coaching.
Oh, coaches. Okay, okay. Anybody playing is okay. Yeah.
Just the two teams playing.
Yep.
And then Colt says they don't know shit. So I don't know. I don't know who he's referring to. Who don't know shit?
The young Giants fans on Twitter saying
they don't know shit. You're right. They don't know shit.
Right.
They're whiny too.
Well, thinking about it, they've been losing their whole life, right? If you're 20 years old, all you know is losing.
True.
So it's
I understand it. And again, you're right. But it's not the same old Giants. Harbaugh is not anybody else we've had. So
Harbaugh's been there for 18 years. These kids were probably 2 when he started coaching there.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you hear sometimes the only one won Super Bowl. You're like,
right.
You know how hard it is to win in the NFL, let alone win a Super Bowl. Yeah. Only one wins per year.
2 playoff games in 10 years. So,
I know.
Yeah. I know. Losing seasons, and one of those losing seasons was 8 wins. So, yeah.
We will see you guys next week. I think Mr. Dunleavy will be back. Wait a minute. No, next week is the Super Bowl. So
this Sunday is the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But that Monday,
he won't be back on Monday, right? Yeah.
Yeah, he'll still be in
right
at the Super Bowl. So the week after that, I would assume that he would be back. And one more time was Vin. You won the scam.
Vin Scam 17.
You have won the hat from the No Cap company. And by the way, if you want to just buy one, just check those guys out. Like they legit have a pretty cool product, and for what it's worth, we're talking about them, bringing them on as a regular sponsor. It's the Number Cap Company. It's Number Cap Company on Instagram. And they've got all sorts of stuff. I mean, it's not just Giant stuff. They got Knicks hats and Rangers hats, and they put numbers on them. It's a great product. If you get a chance, follow along with them.
I bought one for my nephew for his birthday. He loves it. So
what'd you buy him? What
Scataboo, of course.
Scataboo. All right, cool.
Are the Evan Neal hats on sale? Are they in the discount in the back of the?
I think they ripped
DeAndre Banks for going for 2 cents.
Yeah, we'll bring them all out. Bring out all the discounts.
Yeah, I think they ripped the 7 off and it became a Russell Wilson hat.
Yeah, that's it. Or you throw a 1, call it plaques. Put a 1 in front.
There you go. Yeah. So yeah, Jeff, definitely check out the Number Cap Company. They do a great job. We gave away one tonight. We're going to give one away next Monday. I will same thing. I'll put the tweet out there. Whoever tweets under it, we'll just rip off a random number. So make sure you check those guys out. They do a really good job. And by the way, if you go to their Instagram page, you will see Mr. Scataboo wearing the 44 hat from the Number Cap Company with Cam standing next to him. It's a pretty cool photo. So great endorsement there from Cam Scataboo. Otherwise, we'll see you guys next week. We're out, and go Giants.